Good morning.
Morning. Morning.
Good morning. Welcome to Bellingham Unitarian Fellowship. I'm Reverend Paul Beckel. As Rupert lights the chalice today, let it inspire our commitment to our values and purpose here at Buff, to bring the warmth of community, compassion, and commitment, to rekindle that in our lives. And now let's say together a covenant. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service gives it life. Celebrating our diversity and joined by a quest for truth, we work for peace and honor all creation. This is our covenant.
right. Welcome. Good morning. My name is Rupert Ayton. My pronouns are he and him, and I am today's celebrant. I want to thank Melanie for being flexible with piano music today, and I want to thank our AV team for some of the things that we're going to do on the screen. Before I get started, I'd like to recognize that today marks 60 years since the Unitarian Universalist minister James Reeb was murdered in Selma, Alabama. So this morning, instead of reading a land and labor acknowledgement, I'm going to share with you a couple of perspectives on the intention of acknowledgements. This perspective is from a resource document produced by the Illuminative Project. The intention of land acknowledgements should be sincere and part of a personal and organizational commitment to being an ally to Indigenous communities. Land acknowledgements that are done to check a box or to be politically correct are performative and insincere. We must continue to find opportunities to tell the true history of this land and celebrate the resilience and contribution of Native peoples today. And here is a perspective from Professor Tara T.J. Stewart about labor and land acknowledgements. Over the past several years, I have been thinking about enslaved Africans' labor, their ascendants, and how the tremors of slavery, Jim Crow, and ongoing white supremacy have reverberated throughout the generations. We must acknowledge that labor in more consistent, meaningful, and material ways. I also work hard to weave connections between the topic of my meetings to focus on what Indigenous knowledge systems and epistemologies have to say to those topics. The purpose is to ensure the process of acknowledgements does not become trivialized or ceremonial in a way that reduces their power and impact. Performative, insincere, trivialized, ceremonial. It's important to weave a service theme around a special collection as a way to provide a broader context for the collection. Today's theme is Indigenous equity. I spent 10 years on the staff of the Native Arts and Cultures Foundation working for Indigenous equity. As always, I hope my remarks today do not offend our Native brothers and sisters or feel like appropriation. And note that I will freely interchange the identification Native with Indian or tribal or Indigenous. What I am sharing today is knowledge given to me as a gift by Indigenous artists, and I am giving it to you as a gift. That gift will start with me teaching you a Native Hawaiian chant. We'll follow that with a Native children's book. Then I will share my thoughts on Indigenous storytelling on the big and little screen. After that, you will hear from Cyrus James of Children of the Setting Sun. And for those of you who may be interested, I have provided a list of references and hyperlinks in today's order of service. So can we have Ehomai up on the screen? There we go. Ehomai is a mele by the great Kumahula Auntie Edith Kanakaole. Everyone chants it with slightly different emphasis and intonation. Sometimes it takes me a verse to recognize it when I hear it. I'll read it through all the way, and then we'll take each line. So this is how it goes. Ehomai, ka'eki mai luna mai e. Ona mea huna noeau. Ona mele e. Ehomai, ehomai, ehomai. So we go through this 3 times, and when we get to that last ehomai of the first verse, we go up a little bit. So we go ehomai, ehomai, ka'eki mai luna mai e. And we do that each time. So let's give it a try. If you'll repeat after me, I'm going to say, Ehomai, ka'eki, mai luna mai e. e homai, ka eki mai luna mai. Ona mea huna noe au, ona mele e. Ona huna mele au, ona mele e. E homai, e homai, e homai. You can tell I don't do this, nor do I chant or sing usually. All right, let's give it a go. You ready? E homai, kai iki mai luna mai e. O na mea huna no yao. O na mele e. E homai, e homai, e homai, e homai, kai iki mai luna mai e. O na mea huna no yao. O na mele e. E homai, e homai. E homai, ka iki mai luna mai e. O na mea huna no iau. O na mele e. E homai, e homai, e homai. Wow, thank you very much. Gets you in the spirit, right? So, in a moment, we'll have the children's story. We'll play a video up here. This story is My Heart Fills with Happiness. The author is the Cree Lakota writer Monique Gray Smith, and the illustrator is the Cree Metis artist Julie Flett. We're going to have it on video with an introduction and spoken word in both English and Anishinaabe-Moan, the Chippewa language. The reason I have the video up here is because the book I got from the library actually had the Anishinaabe-Moan translation in it as well. So, if you'll play the video.
Today I'm here in the Italian Garden with my colleague Russell Johnson. For a reading in English and Anishinaabe-Moan. My Heart Fills with Happiness is a book that is special to us for a number of reasons. It was written by Monique Gray Smith, a wonderful author who lives here in the Victoria area. And she works extensively in truth and reconciliation to help governments, schools, and other institutions build a better understanding of Canada's history and the resilience of Indigenous people. She also sits on our Royal Roads Board of Governors. Now, Monique wrote this book to support the well-being of Indigenous children and families. My Heart Fills with Happiness holds a parent's wish for their child, that they recognize that life's joys are found in the small and the everyday. And in a time when we are so often hearing bad news stories, I find the caring message of this book resonates with me as well. Now, the book was translated recently into Cree and Anishinaabe-Moan, and so Russell and I are here to read together.
Miigwech Philip for the opportunity today to speak about Monique Gray Smith's book, My Heart Fills with Happiness. As somebody who grew up away from their language, away from a lot of the community support and teachings that exist in those languages and in those spaces, it's an honor to be able to come back and to visit it through publications and works by this incredible author. And this reading today is for my Nokmis. Lila, this is for you. Niji Kendam.
My heart fills with happiness when I see the face of someone I love.
Niji Kendam Api Wabama Zahia.
I smell bannock baking in the oven.
Mino Mamag Bakwejigan Binji Geja Biki Zagana.
I sing.
Naga Moyan.
My heart fills with happiness when I feel the sun dancing on my cheeks.
Niji Kendam Api Mujituyan Gizis Zagas.
I walk barefoot on the grass.
Jashag Ginizidewe Soyan Mashku Seeing.
I dance.
Nimiam.
My heart fills with happiness when I hold the hand of someone I love.
Niji kendam api, dakanan nijiag zamiag.
I listen to stories.
Bezindaman deba jimo wenam.
I drum.
Madwe egeam.
What fills your heart with happiness?
Ani api ji kendama.
So this book fills my heart with happiness. What fills your heart with happiness? I really want to thank you, Monique, for this beautiful story. And thank you, Russell, as well for sharing your voice. May you all feel the sun on your shoulders and smell something comforting cooking this weekend. Take care, everybody.
So we're going to sing a fun song. I'm Barbara, by the way. And the song is 1059. Oh, I got an echo. And the song is Around. And what we're going to do is we'll sing it through twice all together. And then we'll go into a round twice. It's just going to be 2 parts. And when we get to the very last time we're singing it through, then our children can find their way to their fun activities and classes. And we have Ben and Jocko on drums, so yay for that. I'm going to come up here because I'm short. Easier to see me. So let's rise in body or spirit and sing together. May your life be as a song, resounding with the dawn, to sing with the light and softly serenade the stars ever dance in circles in the night. May your life be as a song, resounding with the dawn, to sing with the light and softly serenade the stars ever dance in circles in the night. May your life be as a song. May your life be as a song, and softly serenade with the light and softly serenade the stars. May your life be as a song, resounding with the dawn, to sing with the light and softly serenade with the stars ever dance in circles in. We're gonna do it one more time. May your life be as a song, resounding with the dawn, to sing with the light and softly serenade with the stars ever dance in circles in the night, ever dance in circles in the night. Woo, well done.
The Reverend Linda Twitchell, everybody.
Hallelujah. Sing it, sister.
My goodness.
this guy on? No. Is it on? Nope. It's on? Oh, it's on. Great. Okay. Don't trust me with technology. Okay. So, trying to fulfill our covenant of beloved community seems to have brought on some hand-wringing amongst us. The feeling that we are failing because even though we try to be welcoming, to be a welcoming congregation, we don't seem to have many BIPOC folks coming to services. But that's okay. The point is to be welcoming, to be understanding, to be an ally when there is a need for an ally. If we keep doing that, we are working toward our covenant. And yes, we will always be working toward it. The work is never finished. Anything else is beyond our control. For me, not only is it important to weave a service around the subject of the special collection, but it's also important to weave a service around our values as Unitarian Universalists, our faith. Article 2 of our Unitarian Universalist Association bylaws, principles, and purposes is the foundation for all our work. In it, we covenant this on equity. We declare that every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. From our 7 principles, I think of respecting the interdependent web of all existence of which we are part. So now a word or two on equity. Equity takes many forms. Yes, it is easy to say, give a short person something to stand on to see over the fence. Provide a ramp. Sign for the deaf. Put Braille numbers in the elevator. But what about food? If you are a vegan and I invite you to my house for food, do I need to prepare something vegan? Is that equity? I think so. So what is equity when it comes to the art world? I was speaking once with a successful gallerist about Native artists. He said they were still in the identity phase, like Black artists before them. Excuse me? I took this to mean they had not become white, because the art world is all about white identity. Equity in the art world means a BIPOC artist should be exhibited in the gallery of their choice and in the manner of their choice and for an audience of their choice. That applies to film as well. When I saw that our Setting Sun friends were going to be today's special collection, I immediately thought of Native filmmakers I have been fortunate to know, starting with the Ho-Chunk and Luiseño artist, Sky Hopinka. I remember Sky when he was making street videos in Portland. Last year, I saw him interviewed for his MacArthur Genius Award on the PBS NewsHour. Equity, I thought, finally. The quote on today's order of service says, "We will manage our own destiny and maintain our humanity and pride as Indigenous peoples through screen storytelling." That is a powerful statement. And so is this short video that we're going to play, "I Am a Storyteller," by the seminal Choctaw filmmaker Tracy Rector. Let's watch.
A lot of people don't know what it's like to be me.
My history is your history. We are tired of not being listened to.
I am a storyteller. I am a storyteller.
I am a storyteller.
I'm a storyteller.
Let me take a minute here to talk about identity. In the United States, we have something called tribal sovereignty, the power of tribes to self-govern. That is equity. But we as a country often suffer from something called pan-Indianism, as in all Indians are the same. They are not. There are more than 700 unique native tribes or nations or villages or bands in the U.S. Some federally recognized, some state recognized, some, sadly, not or no longer recognized, other than by their own people. And there are Native Hawaiians, the Kanaka Maoli or Kanaka Oiwi. Tribal identity is important. Chippewas are different from Lakotas. Leech Lake Chippewas are different from White Earth Chippewas, and some Chippewas prefer Ojibwe. And colonialism, being what it is, even the government name we recognize tribes by, can be wrong. The Rumsey Indian Rancheria of the Sacramento area was finally able, in 2009, to legally change their name to Yochudihi Wintun Nation, one more step away from oppression. Tribal identity brings me back to filmmaking. Filmmaker Sterling Harjo, who is enrolled Seminole Nation of Oklahoma, as well as Muskogee, and perhaps best known today for his Reservation Dogs series on FX, said he purposely avoided giving his characters tribal identification. The reason being, it gave every Native person an opportunity to identify with the character, to say, hey, that's me. Again, I see that as equity. And this, Navajo tribal member Mandy Wheeler pulled together Diné Bazad speakers to voice act scenes for the Navajo version of Star Wars. The dubbing made the movie accessible for Native Navajo elders. It brought the language alive, equity. I'm guessing that most Native filmmakers across this country are known only locally and primarily within Indigenous circles. They are on YouTube and they screen at Indigenous film festivals. In the Pacific Northwest, we are lucky to have Children of the Setting Sun. Down in Seattle, we have Tracy Rector. In Portland, we have Wisdom of the Elders. And there, we also have independent filmmakers, such as Laurent Kachia of Warm Springs, Wasco, Paiute ancestry. This is homegrown filmmaking, as Ben pointed out to me, of, for, and by the people. Theatrical releases, the films that are distributed to screen in theaters, are sometimes much bigger and more difficult. Something much bigger and more difficult. TV is also bigger and more difficult. Hollywood, to generalize the industry, plays by its own rules. Equity is not one of them. The award-winning Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes filmmaker Chris Eyre has weathered the Hollywood grind since his first hit, Smoke Signals, in 1998. Portland-born and Oregon-raised, Chris followed a traditional film school route. An awardee at the Sundance Film Festival, an award at the Sundance Film Festival gave him the movie industry credibility necessary to establish himself. As he puts it, his films take a contemporary look at Indians. Leathers and feathers are of no interest. Mention Sundance, and we think of Robert Redford. What you may not know is that when Redford started his Sundance enterprises, it was because, laughably, he was asked to play a Native person in a movie. That drove him to want to change the lack of Native representation in front of and behind the camera. Thus, he launched the Film Lab for Aspiring Native Filmmakers, headed by the Cheyenne and Mescalero Apache Program Officer, Bird Runningwater. As Bird tells it, film to that point was just one more aspect of colonial erasure of Native people. Before his breakout on FX, Sterling Harjo was best known as a 1491, where he honed his skills filming their comedy routines. Along the way, Sterling had a chance to attend the Sundance Film Lab, with Te Whanua Apunui tribal member Taika Waititi, the same guy who later won an Oscar for Thor. An Oscar opened the door for Taika, and he invited Sterling in, and eventually Reservation Dogs came about. Here's the equity part. Sterling wanted and got an all-native writing team. Those writers have gone on to more films and TV. And as important, Sterling wanted the production imbued with native culture. Guests, as in extras, and elders eat first on the set, not bigwigs and actors. Cayuga filmmaker Erica Tremblay was one of Sterling's writers. She directed the recently released feature film, Fancy Dance. Erica started with commercial videos and went on to make the short documentary, Wika Ugly, To Return a Man, a film about a rehabilitation camp for Native men who had committed crimes against women. Again, filmmaking for, of, and by tribal people. The Oscar-nominated documentary Sugarcane is an immensely powerful tale of boarding schools. As Lucenio professor and film producer Jolie Proudfit told me, one great picture on a subject is enough. Hollywood likes stereotypes and likes to recycle stories. That risks diminishing the original, and that has happened all too often to Native people. Hollywood also likes to recycle writers and actors. We need new Indigenous faces and names. We need to grow the pool. Native writers need mentors to teach them the ropes. The same for Native actors. Film funding is an issue. Wealthy tribes have been great supporters of Indigenous film. The late Yochadihi Wintun chairman, Marshall McKay, understood the power of film. You will see him in the documentary, Imagining the Indian, that took issue with sports team nicknames and the racial stereotyping that came with them. But the same sources of funding that get white films made and distributed should also go to Indigenous films. It should not be a tribal responsibility. It is a collective responsibility. Inupiaq filmmaker Andrew Okpeha McLean used a Kickstarter campaign with help from Sundance to launch On the Ice in a non-traditional manner that would show his film beyond a limited run in major metropolitan areas. Again, it shouldn't have to be that hard to get Indigenous theatrical films in front of all audiences. I feel that knowing more about our cultural differences and histories and respecting those differences enriches our lives. Film helps do that. It leaves an impression. We all gain from diversity in all aspects of our lives. After all, for the last 50 years, haven't we learned we are richer for calling Denali, Denali instead of Mount McKinley? So that brings me back to the local and Children of the Setting Sun. Please welcome Cyrus James to tell us about this important organization. Cyrus is Tulalip and grew up in Wenatchee. He has lots of relatives here at Lummi.
Hello. Hi, Twitchio, Nautsiam, Cyrus Jameson, it's Nat. Good morning. Hello, everyone. My name is Cyrus James. I'm a member of the Tulalip tribes, but I was, like you said, raised in East Wenatchee with my non-native family. And in 2017, I moved to Bellingham to study at Western. And after a few years of school there and an interest in filmmaking and Indigenous storytelling and Indigenous studies, I was connected with Daryl Hilaire from Lummi Nation. He is the executive director of Children of the Setting Sun, and he has a previous career of being the chairman there and the founder of the Lummi Youth Academy. So I think he's retired twice at this point, and now he works harder than ever. And through that is what I learned what it means to be Native and how to identify that way. And so that's a little history about me. And then the organization itself comes from the original Children of the Setting Sun storytelling troupe, which started back in the early 1900s by Hate to Luck, the Frank Hilaire, Daryl's ancestor. So that was a few generations ago. And that was a storytelling group dedicated to bridging gaps, bringing people together through storytelling, creating mutual understandings. And one of his words was to keep my fires burning. So that has happened a few times, and Daryl has picked up that torch. And now it's to uphold those same values of using storytelling to gather people. So it is, it's multimedia. It's filmmaking. We have podcasts, and we have gatherings. And I think our gathering hosted last October speaks to that, where it was in the Paramount Theater, and it was a large audience. It was native and non-native alike, and it was both a place to learn and just to be entertained. It was these performers from different tribal nations across the U.S. Performing and speaking on behalf of their communities and their environmental activists. So I think that event speaks to, the root of it all. And I'm actually a part of our newly launched department, the Setting Sun Institute, which seeks to apply our storytelling, which to me means, getting the stories to the right people and getting the right people in the room. So it's us working with educators, policymakers, activists, and whoever else, we think should be at the table. Like, how do we get this out? How do we work with the since time immemorial curriculum mandate in Washington to make it more accessible for all educational school districts? So yeah, that's a little bit how we've evolved to be today. And if you would ask how you can help, I would suggest starting just like by seeing our work and sharing our work. So thank you for having me today. Hashka.
You see, we wanted to make sure we kept to a timetable here, and we're moving really fast. I think it's time to sing. No? Yep. It is. Singing together, 196, Singer of Life. You gonna do it? Okay.
Singer of life, our flowers, our songs, with petals do you write. Singer of life, you color the earth, dazzling the eye with birds red and bright. Joy is for us, the flowers are spread, singing is our delight. Immortal are we with all living things, with eagles in the sky. Even our golden shade will not last. Dying alone, I know cannot die. Here in this house of springtime bestow songs that like birds can fly.
Good morning. I'm Sarah Pearson, and thanks so much for letting me speak a few moments to you today. I actually come with a dual purpose. First, I want to tell you about a project that I'm working on with other Buff women, a full weekend retreat with the theme of Wild Rising, shedding, becoming, emerging together. This bonding experience will take place April 25th to 27th at Camp Lutherwood on Lake Samish, and is open to anyone identifying as she, they, them. And guess what? Registration opens today. Find more information on the Wild Rising posters, scan the QR code to explore the website, and register at the table downstairs during coffee hour. Now, I'm just representing myself. At this stewardship time of year, when we are asked to think about what the Bellingham Unitarian Fellowship means to us, my mind lands on how Buff has been a key part of developing me into who I am today. I joined Buff in 1994 when I was 25, newly married, and newly arrived to Bellingham. As I reflect on the roles I've had here over the years, I see the skills I was able to develop as a result, skills that I applied to my emerging career. Teaching religious education gave me a background in lesson preparation and public speaking. The Worship Arts Committee and being a celebrant taught me how to build and time a themed event from its raw components, competencies that enabled me to design and execute my own mother's memorial service here at Buff, as well as plan events and logistics for my jobs. Being part of a ministerial search committee taught me how to evaluate individuals, not just based on their portfolio, but for their percent match to the particular needs of the community or position at hand. One of my favorite roles was as Buff's representative to the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, the international human rights organization of the UUs. Through being able to practice storytelling about other cultures and UUSC projects, as well as organizing fundraising and events, I had the background to be hired for a position at a cultural exchange nonprofit in town, Experience International, where I eventually became executive director. And incidentally, we shared a building with Children of the Setting Sun. How rare is it to have a place like Buff where you can do important, high-level work with zero prior experience in that sector? When I look back at what this fellowship has done to develop me as a person and a professional, through the skills I acquired to the wise mentors who have influenced me here, I realize that my pledges are not only an investment in this community, this building, and this amazing staff, but my pledges have been an investment in me, as valuable an investment as any college has been. My deepest gratitude to Buff and to all of you who have contributed to my growth and improvement over these last 30 years.
Wow. Thank you, Sarah. I'm Lee Seaman. As you know, we're asking for your pledge this month to support Buff in the next fiscal year, and that starts in July, and I'm going to give you a brief summary of our finances. There. Yay. Our main expenses are the green and blue pie slices over here. Salaries are in green, about 62%. Operating expenses, heat. Lights. You are right. That's really interesting. It was green last time I looked at it. It's the deep state. Well, I don't know what the other colors are then. Anyway, we've got heat and lights and, other convenient things like that, and insurance, and those are kind of, maybe we ought to pay them. So that together, that's about 88% of stuff that we really ought to pay, plus the other stuff that we really ought to pay. And our income is over here. Oh, good, it's still kind of yellow. It's mostly from our pledges. That's the big yellow slice, and that's our 2024 auction in red, which was hugely, hugely successful beyond all expectations. Thank you, thank you, thank you for everybody who worked on it. Yes, it was awesome. But still, pledges, because pledges. So that's mostly what we live on here. And that's why what we give this month is going to define what we do this next year. And since we're bringing in a new minister, it's going to define what we do for longer than that. We are really setting the groundwork for our future. And oh my gosh, there has never been a time when Buff was more needed, honestly. So there's letters, there's details in the letters that we sent out last month, and I thought I sent them to everybody, but not everybody got them. So I have more in the back if you want to stop and get one in the back. And still have not got a letter. We have letters. Oh, almost everybody. Okay. Yeah. That was Stephanie with the letters in the back. Now, if we could have the ushers please come forward for our morning offering. Our special collection today goes to Children of the Setting Sun. That's all the cash that's donated into the basket and all of the checks that have Children of the Setting Sun on the memo line. And in your order of service, just in case you want to use text to give, it has the barcodes and things that you can use to give online. So thank you so much for your generous support.
How the offering is being passed around today comes from the words of a Navajo chief named Manuelito. His Navajo name translates to the man from the black reeds, and it starts actually with a spoken bit about how there was a chief, Manuelito, who was counseling his people on the way they should walk. And he said, "Go, get education. Go and bring it back."
Go, my son, go and climb the ladder. Go, my son, go and turn your feather. Go, my son, and make your people proud of you. Work, my son, get an education. Work, my son, earn a good vocation. Climb, my son, and take a lofty view. And on that ladder of an education, you will go and help your Indian nation and reach, my son, and lift your people up with you.
Thanks, Ben. Let's continue the conversation around this topic. In the bottom of the back page, the order of service, a coffee hour question. If you're not Native, what was your first exposure to Native Americans? Looking back, what was okay? what was not okay. And I can imagine your responses could go in a lot of different directions. And if we really listened to one another, we'd encounter a real variety. There are little pink cards laying around all over in the social hall. And also, I'm encouraging y'all to move, so social hall down and that way, library through and back that way, where it's generally quieter. And I am so thrilled at how many new people we've had since the inauguration, even if I'm not thrilled. I'm thrilled that Buff can provide such a place, which means the social hall is really noisy. So please spread out and enjoy the carpeted quieterness of the library. And there's also some adjoining rooms. I've got those little pink cards scattered throughout all those rooms, so feel free. And to also facilitate the conversation, we're going to pull up chairs, pews, whatever, to the front of the sanctuary after the services from now on. Doug Branson is going to facilitate a conversation on the question of the day or whatever rises up in you when in the intersection of what you bring today and the theme. So I think we can have some really good conversations, and we'll try to do this on a regular basis. Of course, we also have coffee downstairs and some snacks. Snacks are always welcome any Sunday of the month, but next Sunday we're also having a potluck lunch. So please make sure we're prepared for all of our wonderful newcomers. Show them what community is all about. And thank you for being here, newcomers, and put us to the test. And Mark says, please bring a dish for the potluck, because Mark is the one who often does all the behind-the-scenes work, so he wants to make it work. Let's see. Our benediction today is number 551 in the gray hymnal. Let's read that together. Let's stand together and say this. 551, Earth, teach me. Earth, teach me stillness, as the grasses are stilled with light. Earth, teach me suffering, as old stones suffer with memory. Earth, teach me caring, as parents who secure their young. Earth, teach me courage, as the tree which stands all alone. Earth, teach me limitation, as the ant which crawls on the ground. Earth, teach me freedom, as the eagle which soars in the sky. Earth, teach me resignation, as the leaves which die in the fall. Earth, teach me regeneration, as a seed which rises in the spring. Earth, teach me to forget myself, as melted snow forgets its life. Earth, teach me to remember kindness, as dry fields weep with rain. As I extinguish the chalice, now let's circle whatever it takes to make sure people have room, and we'll sing our song of Circle Round for Freedom.
For all beneath the